You're tuned into RX Radio. Movement prescribed. Brought to you by Prescript.com. A personalized approach to keeping you healthy and making your best even better. Your hosts, Dr. Jordan Shallow and Dr. Jordan Jiunta.
Is this to make sure we don't have like a, what was her name? Was it Janet Jackson? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Could the NFL could have avoided that if they were running the hardware we're running right now?
The best boob to see is an unexpected boob.
Do they? All right, so someone done fucked up. You know what I saw that coming in? It was quintessentially American that I've never seen in Canada. I saw balls on a truck. Can you explain that?
Oh.
Like off the trailer hitch?
I think it explains itself.
But like the truck nuts.
nuts.
Oh,
Okay.
excuse me. Yeah, because
Okay.
balls on a truck is a way less classy way to describe what I saw. I
It's a
just
very
don't.
Canadian way to describe
I
it.
don't understand. Like, I get the allure. I get why girls like guys who drive trucks. I get it.
Okay.
I drive a truck. It's a comment I've heard in the past with trucks I've owned. I understand the appeal. As much as you can pull up at the light next to the guy with the big truck and be like, fuck this douchebag. What's he compensating for? There's a part of everyone that goes, all right, if I got to move, this guy's not a douchebag all of a sudden. the truck nuts, as it what is the purpose of that?
It's kind of like saying the unsaid thing. I don't know. My truck has bigger balls than your Miata. Sorry, Mark.
Immediately, yeah, sorry, dude. That's the fucking Razor scooter of automobiles. Like, there's nothing worse than a fucking Miata. If you ever have trouble with it, I can put it in the back of my real car. No, you got some. Marky's got some. He's got a death wagon, though. That's the thing. He's got a freaking death wagon.
Yeah.
His, like, Durango or whatever that Mad Max mobile is. Like, when the dude, it's like kitted out to the max. It's like Gravedigger. The thing I worry about is I don't want to meet the girl that sees the nuts on the truck and goes, yep,
That's the
one. That's the one. This is going to be the father of my next child. Like, that's the girl her friends call and go, hey, if it stings when I pee, it's like, this is what you got. Like, that's that girl that goes, yeah, truck nuts.
Oh,
I'm all for it. Quintessentially American. I couldn't get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of ties in. No, it doesn't. But it ties in well to what we're going to talk about
what
today.
does that tie into?
Hopefully nothing. Truck nut should be a segue to nowhere. No, what I want to talk today, and this is really in spending time with other podcasters, a very popular topic of discussion is routines, habits, things that breed success in your day-to-day life. And it's like, we got to draw a hard line in the sand, because I think we could look at this from like a movement standpoint, like a performance standpoint, where a lot of people in this space look at it from like a cognition standpoint, a mindfulness standpoint, and it's like, where do you start to weed out the bullshit in this space of like, my daily habits and routines that, I wake up at this time and it's some obscure time. Like, dude, wake up at 5. Don't wake up at 4:47. Like, don't be weird. Like, wake up at 5. Round numbers. Like, it's just obscurity for no reason. But I kind of wanted to get, because there are things we both do on a daily basis, and I'm not saying we're the antithesis, or antithesis, is that the word?
I don't know.
I don't know. The model in which you should base your life off of, but I'm curious to know,
Absolutely not.
from the foot, when the foot hits the floor in the morning, what's a Junta day routine? What are things you have to do?
A day in the life.
Do you go rake the sand garden first? Do you go do
Not typically.
qigong?
That's a before bed kind of thing.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
All right, now let's hear it. Because there's apps for this shit. People are like writing fucking journals like 13-year-old girls. Like, come on, people. Some of this has to be prioritized. So give me a day in the life.
Yeah, day in the life. Let's see. Most days, wake up 6 a.m., not super early, not too late. First thing I do is I just get in the shower.
Really? I can't do that.
Well, actually, first thing I do, I brush my teeth, then I get in the shower. But
you're amazing. I don't like being wet in the morning.
Yeah,
period. I don't even like sweating in the morning.
It just helps me kind of turn my brain on. I don't know. There's something about the shock of like being in the shower that like wakes me up.
Can't do it.
I do some weird shit in the shower. Probably could have guessed
Wow.
that.
Okay. Like singing? Like how weird are there?
Every morning I do like I stretch in the shower basically.
How big of a shower do you have?
I don't know, like a normal bathtub shower thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you must be
I'm
pretty
like
flexible.
a quarter of your size though.
But still, dude, logistically, I don't know if that's scalable to some people because I think you have to be pretty flexible to be able to stretch in the shower already.
Yeah. So you should strive to stretch in the shower.
I'm just going to knock shit off the counter. I'm going to knock this 17 shampoo bottles that are in my fucking shower.
See, I'm lucky.
I have no idea what it is.
In my shower, I have it's like the bath, and then off the back of the bath, I don't know if it's like a shelf or a seat or something.
Okay.
Put all the shampoo, body wash over there.
All right.
So I have all this room to play while I'm in the shower.
Oh, so much room for activities. All right. So shower.
So brush teeth, shower, get dressed immediately. So me and my girlfriend Frances, we share a bed. So she's usually sleeping.
Okay. For those who thought Jordan was Mormon,
I know.
we cleared that up. Thanks for that.
So she's usually sleeping while I'm getting up and ready. So the night before, I'll have my clothes ready to go. So
Really?
Yeah, I'm one of those guys.
Which is weird because it literally looks like you put zero thought into what you wear every day.
It doesn't mean I put thought into it. It just means it's prepared.
It's just hung over a chair somewhere.
Yeah, so I'll have that stuff ready. I'll brush my teeth. I'll do my weird shit in the shower. Get dressed, and then it's right to the kitchen. Basically, I have my stuff in the corner ready to go. I'm big into that, as having everything ready so I don't have to use my brain first thing.
What's
in
the
morning.
corner look like? What's the stuff? Is this where
So
it gets weird?
Nah, I carry a backpack to and from the office every day, so
Okay.
it's like just normal stuff like computer.
Oh, I see. I thought you were talking like supplements or like.
Yeah, so that's there too. I don't do too much supplementation lately. I've been doing more than I have in the past. It's all for inflammation in
Let's
joints.
hear it.
So right now I'm taking collagen, glucosamine, chondroitin, turmeric, MSM. I know what.
Just so crunchy,
Then I take like a multi-pack with zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, and a fish oil.
Okay.
So it sounds like a lot, but it's all pretty condensed.
Yeah. Down the hatch.
Yeah, so I'll just grab that. I don't even take it then. I just throw it in my pocket. Every single morning I make breakfast. That's I guess my one routine. Well, I guess this is all pretty standard.
Yeah.
But every single morning I'll make breakfast. I'll wake up a good couple hours before I have to actually do what I'm gonna do for the day. I start my office hours usually 7:30 or 8. So if I have to be here at 7:30, I'll try and wake up a little bit before 6. Usually I'll start at 8, so I wake up at 6. So that's enough time to make my coffee. Always got to make the pour over in the morning.
That's so hip, dude.
Dude, it's so good.
Did that
though.
come with your chondroitin and MSM?
French press has nothing.
Fuck a French press,
over.
dude. I broke like 7. I have a steel one now. I have the same one that we got. You know what? We remember when we went to Portland and we went out for breakfast. I found that one. I found that because a week later I smashed my 7th French press in as many weeks.
Oh,
we got the big fancy thing now.
Dude, the actual the espresso block.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
change your life, man. I find the espresso shot, and I didn't know what that was. So here's the biggest difference between Canada and the U.S. If you work at Starbucks, you're a barista. If you work at Tim Hortons, you fucking just work at Tim Hortons. Relax. You're pouring coffee for a living. It doesn't need a fancy name. But so I didn't know the difference. I didn't know what espresso was. So hey, I think the machine's broken. What are you talking about? I got this much coffee in my cup. This thing's bullshit. It costs $3,000. You're an idiot. I was like, wait, that's it? I just drink that? And I drink it. Oh, yeah. That's a bit of a kick in the head.
Delightful.
Yeah, but you go all out. You got the I had that. What was it?
Verve. Verve is fantastic.
All right, that dude. How do you? No wonder you work so much to support your coffee. You'd be
Seriously.
better off with a heroin addiction.
Yeah.
Financially.
Yeah. Coffee is the poor man's cocaine.
You're just gonna have to start selling your fucking furniture. No wonder we're sitting in this shit. You sold all the comfortable furniture for your coffee addiction.
What are you talking about?
We gotta get a coffee sponsor.
Oh my God!
We gotta get a coffee sponsor that doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Because I've had some stuff sent my way.
Sucky coffee.
It's a weird industry. And I have so many friends. Maybe I should hit some of them up. But I have so many friends who just own coffee companies. It's
yeah.
How is this happening? It's like a third-party fulfillment for coffee beans.
Yeah, there's good coffee, and then there's like this we look cool on Instagram coffee.
Yeah.
It's not good coffee.
It's not good coffee.
No, it just looks cool on Instagram.
It's just really strange, like, how the procurement process goes. Like, none of you have been to South America.
No.
I can guarantee you that for a fact.
No.
I don't want Gilroy coffee. Like, if that's where it's coming from, don't want it. Sorry. Bring it back.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so coffee, breakfast. Are you a routine, like, same thing for breakfast every day kind of guy?
For the most part.
Now, this is where I want to get into it from, like, the sports performance standpoint.
Yeah.
Because, like a big question I get, like, carbs for breakfast, no carbs for breakfast, when you should have carbs for breakfast.
Yep.
I'm interested to see your take.
Yeah. My carbs depend on my performance level, or just put your arms somewhere, dude.
I can't,
Come on.
man. This is not
Just cross 'em,
ergonomic.
baby. Can you guys see my toes?
God. Okay, so we're
Side note.
not a foot podcast. we're not a foot.
So we're a foot podcast. We may be.
We
dabble in toes.
It hasn't worked against us yet until now, until right this very second. Okay, so back to the issue at hand, or foot. Carbs, no carbs for breakfast. What's the indicating factor?
Where I'm at my training cycle.
Okay.
Depends. There's a direct correlation to how much and what I eat.
Okay.
So my breakfast is pretty standard. The less training volume I have, the less carbs I'll eat.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. That's as far as I dive into it. I don't count my carbs. I have a pretty good idea. I'll do like a rough estimate of where I'm at, and I'll try and standardize it through that. My meals are basically the same every day with small variants. But just the more I'm training, the more I'll eat. The less I'm training, the less I'll eat. As far as carbs go, I try and keep proteins and fats about the same.
So when you drop carbs out, are you then just creating a caloric deficit because you're not going to be demanding as much in your training because of your frequency or your volume? So I guess what my question is, do you supplement the caloric contribution of carbohydrates with adding fats or protein?
No.
So you're just putting yourself in a caloric deficit by removing carbs as an energy source?
No. I wouldn't say I go all the way to a deficit.
Okay.
I just don't have as much of a surplus.
Okay,
I
fair
guess.
enough. So you're a baseline.
Yeah. So the way I've been training the last, I don't know, 6 months or so. No, not even. Maybe 4 or 5 months. I'm the light guy in the weight class. So I'm not trying to regulate my weight. I'm trying to actually gain a little bit of weight, but that's a hard process for me.
Oh my God.
But I know, not enough cheesecake, right?
Unbelievable.
But how about that? You hear this guy, the Muscle Doc? He has this quote.
Yeah.
Cheesecake makes my elbows hurt.
A lot of good quotes. I like that. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get some quotables. Truck nuts. Make it happen. I've been called meme worthy, which
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that because I don't really like.
Especially now this video.
Yeah.
So you guys can take your favorite Muscle Doc screenshot.
Which is usually me with my hands like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, and you can put in your own text right there.
Yeah.
And tag us here at RX Radio.
Bring it on. Okay. All right. So carbs are just dictated by training volume. Now, does time of day of training dictate carbohydrate intake? So say your training volume's lower, but you got to get a session in right away. Do you then go with carbs because you're going to go train?
No.
No? So you stick it.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, admittedly, I'm not the best with nutrient timing. So in my high carb cycles, I'll be better with it. In my lower, I don't want to say low carb because it's not low carb.
Yeah.
Cycles, I'm just like I'll eat them when I eat them.
Okay.
But say the closer I get to competition, the more meaningful I am with my timing. So I'll have breakfast is the same no matter what.
Yeah.
I'll get something that fills me up because usually I'm working in the mornings until I train. So I want to be full until I'm training, or at least not be hungry. So I'll usually have a couple slices of toast with some butter, sometimes jelly.
How crunchy do you get with the toast? We talked about this. Do you get what kind of toast do you get? Or bread, I suppose.
Dave's Killer Bread. Bro.
That is the worst. It's the best marketing scheme because it's like, yeah, this is prison toast. Like he's like, oh fuck yeah, I'm a badass. I would eat cool toast. This guy was in prison. Fuck yeah. With if this was prison wine, you probably wouldn't buy it. Like, yeah, I know Dave learned how to make wine in prison. It's like, no thanks. I've seen Let's Go to Prison. I know what this means. You're pissing in my Chardonnay. I don't, dude. It fucking kills it though. It's like there's an electric guitar on this thing of toast. Everything else looks gay.
Have you ever had it?
No, it's so thin.
Oh, man,
I've seen the slices. It's like I'm gonna eat like half a loaf is one slice and the other half will be the next. I need to buy a loaf a day if I'm having 2 slices.
Some good bread.
I'm not a bread guy.
Not a bread guy?
I can't do it. I'm not a carbs for breakfast guy, period.
Yeah. I don't know. Initially I wasn't. It was just kind of like veggies and things with my eggs and breakfast meats, which are delicious. But
breakfast meats?
Yeah, like sausage, bacon.
Okay, all right.
Canadian bacon, which is just ham.
I don't understand. You know who's got the goods?
Who's got the goods?
Australian bacon.
Dude,
no. So it's both. It's what bacon should be. Dude, the Aussies, coffee and bacon, forget about it. One-way ticket, I'm out of here.
All right.
They got it. I'll bring you some back. I'm going in January.
All right.
And I'll bring some back. Aussie bacon is like the dopest dope you've ever smoked. They got it fucking sorted, man. I tell you what.
All right.
Yeah.
Aussie bacon.
Anyway, so carbs, wave based off training volume and intensity. Meal timing. Do you then eat before you train, or is it one meal, work, then train? Kind of on like a sort of digested 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours? Yeah.
So it yes is mostly the answer there.
Okay.
I'll go through the morning. I won't eat again. Most of my training, I won't eat again before I train, usually around 10:30. So if I'm eating breakfast around, 6:45, what's that, 7, we'll make that easier. Do math, 3.5 hours, then I'll train. So by that time, I'm pretty level out with that glucose spike.
Is that different now that you're doing Olympic lifting as opposed to CrossFit, where like the metabolic demand, even on your light days, was going to be a lot higher than it is currently?
Actually, yes, it's different. This is how I do it now with Olympic lifting. I would eat more carbs pre-workout when I was doing CrossFit.
Okay.
But when I am in, say, 8 weeks out from competition, that prep phase, I will have something before I train. Usually something like fruit and yogurt, a little bit of protein, a little bit of carbs.
Sorry, man. I'm thinking of the Dallas, Pennsylvania Jordan of back in the day. Just going, fruit and yogurt, trying to stay regular in this bitch. Like, getting old, man.
All about that gut bacteria.
Getting old, man.
All about it, man.
Okay, so let's kind of stick chronologically here.
Yep.
What do you do now, maybe from a system standpoint? We get a lot of kids that listen to chiropractic students or in practice.
Yeah.
Like business side, cognitively, preparation. Are you doing podcasts on the way to work? Are you doing music? Are you just yelling at people on the 101?
Man.
Like, how do you get this in the right space?
Yeah, no, I'm lucky. I have a pretty easy commute. It's like a 10-minute drive, no highways.
Fucking hate you.
I know, right? But this whole thing is kind of my cognitive prep. I can't just wake up and be ready to go, like, diagnose and have intellectual conversations with patients. I need to really let my mind adjust to the day, and it takes a good dose of caffeine with that. So it's this whole process in silence, basically.
Yeah.
It's,
we spent a few mornings together. Not a word was spoken. But we slept in that dodgy fucking meth RV. Oh my
just
God.
Give each other that look,
Just
like let's not talk about
I
this
just
again.
slept on a shelf over a driver's seat in an RV in a meth addict's house somewhere in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
It's going to be about 2 liters of coffee in about 3 hours before I can look you in the eye. I get it. And I'm the same way. It's just like, let it percolate. Like your hipster shit coffee that you make. Just let it drip. Let it drip down cognitively. So now what is your take on some of these morning rituals that are going around? Wait, I'm just going to journal. Just whatever comes to my mind. I mean, look, it's a house.
You're talking so much.
It's just wait. Do you do that?
I haven't been lately for no.
Oh, I'd love to. read it.
No. For a long period of time, I did journal.
No shit.
Yeah.
How the fuck did I not know this about you?
Jordan
slept on a shelf last night. It was fucking hilarious. Every time he rolled over, the RV started to shake.
I would knock on the windows periodically just to see him get up.
I slept with a steak knife under my pillow. Okay, so you did used to. What was the benefit? Like, I have friends who are super successful. Number one, and let's not. And I there has to be some sort of tie there. And maybe I'm just too young or too stubborn or too immature to really understand. Like, if I get up and write, I'm writing my book. I'm not like I feel this way or like. And people I understand the idea of a brain dump. You guys get my fucking emails at like 3 a.m. in the morning. Like,
I've gotten voicemails from you before.
Hey,
they're I just need to yell. You don't have to call me back. probably delete this, but here I go for the next 3
I
minutes.
guarantee you those are still saved in your phone.
Absolutely.
Okay, so give me the underlying benefit of something like journaling.
Yeah, so I think it's like a lot of these habits or whatever you want to call them. You don't get the benefit of just doing it here and there. It has to be kind of a habitual thing. And the benefit that I saw with it was it's not, I feel this way. The sky was blue. It's fall time. The leaves are beautiful.
We're going to put a little bush over here, and we're not going to tell everyone. Who was that guy? That artist guy?
Oh, Bob Ross?
Bob Ross,
Is that his name?
yes. Halloween's coming up.
Dude, he's on Netflix. I recently just watched an episode of that. The most relaxing thing you'll do.
I love how we're talking about productivity, mindfulness, being in the moment. And like, nah, man, I totally just watch old art shows on the internet.
Dude, it really takes
TV
you back.
thing.
Puts you in a good place.
Fair enough. That's your meditation for the day.
Yeah. But I think the benefit for me, if you're mindful enough about it, is to kind of look at your day in retrospect and be like, all right, this is what happened. This is a situation I didn't handle so well. This is how I could have handled it better. This is a situation I handled well. This is what I liked about it. And you just kind of analyze. It's game footage, right, for everyday life. You just analyze your day and think, all right, this I could improve upon. This I did well. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to change this next time. And then the next time you're faced with a similar situation or, something that you've analyzed in the past, you'll be better prepared to deal with it the next time.
Do you not find is externalizing that process of introspection more helpful? Like I do that. Like I'll praise. Podcasts, like something that we try to improve on, or conversations I have with people that like just get weird patience. Like people don't really respect that the way that we have to operate is like more often than not. You're meeting strangers and touching strangers. Yeah, like and we take it for granted, but like that is and you see it in chiropractors who maybe aren't or personal trainers, massage therapists who aren't in tune with like that dynamic. You got to make someone real comfortable with you real quick.
Absolutely.
Before my thumb goes in your glute. Like that's like, and you got 5 minutes to really narrow the gap between you two. So I think it does allow for you to appraise in real time your interaction with people. I was just curious. Like I do that all the time. Patient leaves the office. It was like, was that good? That was bad. Maybe I shouldn't have sworn so much. Maybe I should have sworn more. Like that helps kind of disarm people a little bit sometimes, but trying to have that in real time. You're saying, is there a benefit, or I'm asking, is there a benefit to doing that in retrospect as opposed to, because no doubt beforehand you were doing it internally.
Yeah, real time is good. I like the idea of having time to think about the situation and kind of go back and forth.
I respect that about you. I'm just such a knee-jerk reaction. They're like, oh, fuck that guy.
Well, I mean, I'll do that too, and it's something that you have to look at once you're a little bit removed from the situation. You can reflect back on it almost in the third person. Like, this is how I acted. This is how this person reacted. What could have gone differently? And that's just one type of situation. But
it's a good conversation to have, because I feel like the people who have these conversations on podcasts were like the most benign creatures, like growing up. Like that wasn't a far stretch for someone to be introspective and self-aware, because that's the way they've always been. They've always been somewhat of a snowflake. So I think for guys like us, and off air, we've had some conversations with shit we've done in the past. Like, this is growing up for us. Like, because usually an initial reaction wasn't like, fuck that guy. It was just like, I'm going to punch this guy in the face. Boom. Shit. Fuck. All right. I'm going to have to think about this in jail all night. This sucks. So I think it's cool, like, for people who maybe have come a little bit more, like, have done more of a 180 than some people who talk about it. It's like, dude, you've been some crunchy fucking self-aware shaman since you were like 5. Like you grew up in Palo Alto. Like, let's tone it down a bit. So I think it's good to see a contrast of people. Like, yeah, it does matter. There's a reason that people talk about this shit all the time, because as you start to embark, and everyone should look to improve on getting better to some extent and find what works.
Improve on getting better.
Improve on getting better.
Get better at getting better.
Right? It's a novel concept. It's basically like AI, right, Mark? Don't talk about AI. Don't talk to
I'll
me
get back
about
to you in 3 seconds.
Yeah. Dude.
Fuck you guys.
I love that. Because so if you guys watch the video podcast, Kyle will chop the audio so the intro fades in, so you miss some of the preamble. If you watch the uncut stuff on YouTube, like it was either last week's episode or the week before.
Oh god.
It's like Mark was like getting us all ready, and we hit record. He's like, "Don't talk to me." We're like, Fine then. Fuck you too. All right. So if you're missing the uncut stuff if you don't get us on YouTube. So make sure you head over to Prescript YouTube channel and subscribe, because that's where all the good goes down. And the hand gestures.
And the toes.
And the toes. Oh, God. I'm so glad that this is the mailing address. It's not my office. Just the amount of strippergrams you're going to get. Okay, so outside of journaling, you get to work. Now let's maybe move like any routines throughout the day and then winding into the night, or even performance-based, like anything you do pre-workout, pre-set, post-workout, as far as like either cognitively or physically. What do you like?
Yeah. It's
wow.
Yeah.
All right. We've been a hard
let me get
stop
back
around
to you.
11:30. 11:30. We're about to shut her down. We'll try again tomorrow.
No, there's throughout the day. It's I'm I guess a very ritualistic person now that I think about it. All my patients, I kind of go through the same flow of the appointment. Operate things the same way. I found the way that works for me, that I feel works best for my practice. It's very, very regimented. Lifting, throughout the day, something I'm trying to get better at regimenting is my nutrition. Like I said, I suck at nutrition timing. I'll kind of pack my day so it's like, all right, I'm doing a podcast from this time to this time, then I'm going to work out, and then I don't have any time to eat, but I have to, coach class, and then I have patients, and then I'm going to do this and then do that. So I'm kind of constantly running, and I'll get to the end of the day sometimes be like, fuck, I forgot to eat 2 meals today. Jesus. 5 guys for lunch.
Really?
And then, or 5 guys for dinner, and then Chipotle for dessert.
Get the calories in any way you can.
Yeah.
Now, what about, I
I'm
want
really
like
bad
movement
about that.
prep, workout-wise,
But,
because I think
yeah.
this is your wheelhouse, probably more so than mine, is like your ability to stick with like a regimented and strategized movement preparation.
Yes.
Because here's the thing, like, what's the fucking phrase? This crunchy granola crowd. I have a movement practice. You got to establish movement practice. They're just
I
like,
think that's a yoga thing.
I
think that's
stretch
where
in
it
the
comes
fucking
from.
shower. All right, don't talk to me. That's his movement practice. It doesn't go dress it up like it's some fucking holistic shit. He's in there, toothbrush in the mouth. Hopefully he doesn't have shampoo in his eyes, and he's doing a fucking hamstring stretch in the shower. But like now we're into training. I mean, this is kind of, that's movement preparation is kind of our shit. This is what we do online for a living.
Absolutely.
What does it look like to you? How do you go about like the assessment, the implementation?
Yeah, and this is something that changed depending on what's going on with my body, because anyone who's trained for a certain period of time has seen the kind of progression of, all right, my knee fucking hurts. All right, my knee feels really good, but now my shoulder fucking hurts.
Yeah.
My shoulder feels
They
good.
call that ebbs and flows. I think that's what they call that.
What?
Ebbs and flows?
What's an ebb?
I don't know, but it's a phrase. Someone fact check me on that. But no, things come in waves, right?
Yeah,
I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
What's
So
an ebb?
I know this really good company online. It's called Prescript.com.
Oh, I was like, you're seriously fucking promoting something else right now?
And these guys are fucking studs. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
but,
no, I think
but,
the model is something that's worth talking about.
Yeah, the idea for me is I'll go through progressions based on my ebbs and flows.
Love it.
Did I use it right?
I think so.
All
I
right.
don't know. I don't know.
Based on what's messed up on my body at that time. So right now I'm dealing with some knee issues. I've had them going into my last meet, and now is when I'm kind of really taking the time to make sure it's not an issue in my next meet prep. So I'm going through, and actually shoulder stuff, so I'm dealing with both of them at the same time. Progressions for that. So working on a lot of hip range of motion, hip stability in my pre-workouts. The thing I found with my shoulder is just serratus strength. Or if it's maybe fatigue or just imbalance through that shoulder, uncoordinated serratus anterior on the right side is what I found to be my main problem. So now I've been progressing that. My overhead position feels so much more stable.
Are you still doing that shaking the arm thing?
Getting rid of it.
Oh my god, I wanted to just lop it off.
The weirdest thing is like that's always kind of been a thing, a couple rolls, but it's never been as bad as it was
on the platform.
Yeah, and that might be just like a little bit of nerves as well.
Sure, it's a tick.
But just watching myself, and again, this is kind of that looking back in retrospect and evaluating performance. So I might not have journaled about it, but competition is a really good time to take a step back and look at what happened, and don't look at it from the I'm a competitor, I'm a coach standpoint. Just look at it as a whole for the whole experience. Like, what did you do well? What did you do shitty? What could you have done better? What may have made you not do as well as you want? Or if you did really well, what were the things that contributed to that? And kind of take those pieces away. And I took a hard look after that because I really let myself down at AO3. I didn't do anywhere near as well as I wanted to, so I'm taking all those things, learning from them, and then implementing something into this training cycle to make sure that the trajectory is a lot better heading into the
So, I
next
mean,
week.
let's go into the weeds. Like, you're back on the barbell now?
Ish.
So give me this. I'm really curious as to specifically for the serratus for the knee. What are you doing in conjunction with getting back on the barbell?
Yeah,
Like,
so
what does this progression look
I
like?
haven't squatted since the AO.
So
Well, I've
August.
squatted once, twice.
Okay.
Sorry, since the AO. So that's in the past month.
Yeah.
Reason being was I've having a lot of knee inflammation, and what I thought was just tendonitis, and now I'm starting to think may have been some chondromalacia. So a lot of wear and tear on that patella due to poor hip mechanics. So my intervention for that has been, first off, not squatting, letting that inflammation go down. My knees feel great right now, but I have, like I said, I've squatted twice since then. First time, felt awesome. Second time, felt like garbage.
Yeah.
So it's just telling me that patella is just not fully healed yet. There's still some inflammation there, and the hip's not exactly where I want it. So I've been eliminating squatting. I've been moving outside the sagittal plane a lot. So basically my lower body strengthening stuff is all lateral.
Okay.
So it's either lateral step-ups, lateral squats like a Cossack squat, lateral lunge, things like that. Lightweight, very high reps. And then as I'll go through a couple different rounds of this. Every round, and you guys can try this if you're watching or listening, but your range of motion will improve. If you're doing it correctly with the right intent, your range of motion will improve every time.
Because that's the thing I think people miss the boat on when it comes to like integrating or implementing corrective exercise with warming up. It's the integration piece, right? And that's like like when you get a program, it's like, okay, here's how it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
On these days, this is what you're going to implement in conjunction with your ascending warm-up sets of whatever you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything's kind of like, it's an algorithm based off of dynamics, really. Like, don't draw a hard line between your warm-up and your workout. It's all just increasing dynamics and increasing output, essentially, right? So starting with something really benign in the warm-up, scaling it throughout the warm-up, and then having a more gradual change of hands into the load itself and into the main work, rather than just having a net effect of an arbitrary or seemingly arbitrary warm-up leading into now I'm going to go on the bar and do empty bar, 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, 4 plate, whatever.
Yep.
So I think having that integration piece allows you twofold. The benefit that I always say is it allows you to streamline over time, right? So you're very specific. Right, you're very specific to the knee and the hip. You're very specific to the serratus, and that came from looking in retrospect, watching video, listening to your body, understanding the underlying dysfunction. But two, it's knowing what's not working, right? Like doing things enough to go, when I integrate this, my knee's still bothersome. So the thought process that put this particular exercise there is not valid. It's diagnosis by exclusion. If we think that doing this drill is going to improve upon transiently this imbalance at the hip, whether it be in external rotation, whether it be a lack of internal rotation, whatever that driving piece is, each one of these movements in the program is going to be emblematic of a thought process or a dysfunction pattern or a weakness or a tightness or an instability. If that's not effective, and you don't notice, within 3 to 5 sets of, going from bar to quarter plate, quarter two, that's not, then we're operating from the wrong standpoint. We're operating off the wrong assumption of that being the underlying imbalance that's causing whatever your symptoms are. So regardless whether you do a prescript program or you're organizing a warm-up strategy for yourself, integration into the objective outcome is key. It's paramount, because it's like that allows us over time to go through a process, a distillation process, addition by subtraction. So you're left with a warm-up concentrate, because God knows with the schedules we run, the last thing we can do is afford 15 more minutes, 20 more minutes rolling around on some foam roller or something, right? It has to be very specific to the intervention. And the higher the athlete you are, higher level the athlete you are, the more specific that intervention has to be. So when people run our programs, they'll shoot me messages, and it's meant to catch a lot of people. It's meant to catch a lot of imbalances that we've seen through however many hundreds of clients we've dealt with online, and probably between the two of us, thousands in person. So it's like, it's if you have a dysfunction, it's going to grab it at some point. There's going to be some stuff on the fringes where you're not necessarily going to reap a benefit. It's not going to be detrimental, but internalize the process and understand that, okay, if I feel what this range of motion and stretch or this stability drill or foam roll, whatever, is trying to do, I don't feel it carrying over to a benefit. But if you can log that and archive it, then as you move forward, say all of a sudden you get a pain that you've never had before. It's like, well, let me try this. I did this one. The idea is about breadth of stimulus to start and then honing it in and concentrating it. Post-workout. Post-workout, because this is where a lot of people get lost. Like, they don't like static stretching before, and I think that's bullshit. Post-workout, whether it's nutrition, whether it's, how do you get parasympathetic, or what do you do? Like, kind of give me the rundown.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I've been doing post-workout that has made a difference for me is just eating.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a novel.
I'm not a big whey protein guy. I don't do shakes really. So the biggest thing for me is just forcing myself to eat. No matter how much I don't want to eat or how hungry I am or how busy I am, is just taking that extra 10, 15 minutes and having a full meal immediately after a workout. I honestly, I'm a big fan of static stretching. I don't do it after I work out. I kind of take my stretching sessions as a whole separate piece, and I'll do them, whenever I can throughout the day. It doesn't necessarily correlate with my workout. A lot of times I will do them before. But that's something that kind of in and on its own, I have my own sort of ritual with, and you can stretch and get no results, or you can stretch and you can get really great results. I think it's the intent and the process of what you're doing. It's not just getting in a position and making your hamstring feel something.
So, and I always challenge people, like, if you want to stretch individual muscle groups, I always say do it before you train. Do that isolated stuff before you train in conjunction with, like, pain, down regulation, foam rolling, all that crap, and single leg work or stability work, and in that order, because you're trying to change the perception and the length of that muscle under load so it acts better in the system. When I'm static stretching outside of integrating it with workouts, so like say it's before I go to bed, I rarely will static stretch individual muscle groups. Rather, I'll static stretch movements.
Okay.
Counterbalance squat holds, right? Like a full hip hinge or something where it's a little bit more network and rather than isolation, so it's a little bit more integrated. So that's something that I always, especially with powerlifters or just people who are just systemically tight, is like use your body weight. Do it semi-load. It doesn't have to be like stability work or anything like that. Like, I think the squat hold is something that really helps open people up. But I would say if you're going to do it on a separate piece, do something that's stretching a movement rather than, sitting down and stretching your hamstrings. You want to stretch your hamstrings? Stretch the hamstrings. Then we'll think the hamstrings are looser. That means there's less of an ability to or to retain the tibia's position in deep flexion. You're going to want to put in some hip stability. So if you're going to do a seated hurdler, modified hurdler stretch, and then before you're going to lift, you better be on one leg doing a single leg RDL with that hamstring active and stabilizing at the hip. That's a good way to progress about it. But later on in the day, before you go to bed, squat hold, something like that. Rather than isolation stretch work, you do that in the conjunction with the progressive dynamics of your warm up. Mm-hmm. And then for me, it's post or PM session stretching is usually all movement based.
Yeah, for me, we'll call it the PM stretching session. Is
the recovery session.
The recovery, yes, it's more about neurologic recovery. Yeah. You're kind of down-regulating that nervous system. You're getting yourself to relax, where you're not necessarily increasing, length of the muscle belly or tendon length, but you're concentrating to let that nervous system let go, so that those muscles can lengthen. If that makes sense. So you're taking the current out of those muscles.
Yeah, and I think from a recovery standpoint, like when you static stretch, there's an mTOR signaling. Like mTOR is basically what repairs muscle, right? So you actually can signal mTOR with stretching. So having a separate bout, I'm not saying it's like as effective as a 2-a-day training session, but a 2-a-day training session is not going to be as effective if your sympathetic drive is super high, mm-hmm. right? You're going to increase your likelihood of injury and decrease your ability to recover, where if you could be doing this lighter neurological load stretching session before bed or recovery session, you could be driving mTOR without driving the sympathetic nervous system. And on top of that, what I'll challenge people to do, and it's hard to systematize. So in the programs, it's usually hold for duration. But with clients I see in the office, I'll challenge them to hold movements and stretches and positions. So like hold a squat in the bottom for 10 full inhalations and exhalations. So breath cycles. Breathing is autonomic and voluntary. I think breathing is the way into accessing the involuntary part of the nervous system, the autonomic part of the nervous system. It's like if you have brain damage, a lot of times what they'll first do is they'll look in the eyes, right? Nystagmus or tracking or pupil dilation. It gives us a really accurate map of what's going on. It's really the only thing that comes to the surface of your brain coming to the surface is through your eyes. So I look at breathing as almost an analogous way of assessing or accessing that part of the nervous system. And whether that's we're trying to lower sympathetic drive, so, breathing is affected by the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, both afferently and efferently, right? Like someone scares the shit out of you, you're out of breath. That was autonomic, right? But you also have an ability to access that autonomic nervous system voluntary and control your breathing. So I think you can downregulate a lot of sympathetic drive and a lot of those sympathetic processes, whether that's viscerally, digestive issues, or in more our wheelhouse, posturally, back issues. Since I've started implementing breathing drills into my shoulder
fix
and
my
neck,
posture here quick.
Yeah, in our fucking wooden Adirondack chairs, like we're podcasting from the lake.
Make sure you guys
get the
get
the toes in there. Oh man, I'm really concerned where this is headed. This is going to be on some not so reputable websites soon. We're 2 related clicks away from something. It's like, oh shit. No, but I think from a clinical perspective, or even from overriding, like back pain is huge. A lot of back pain comes from muscles you don't have control over. Contract your multifidus. Everyone listening right now, contract your multifidus. I'll wait. Right? Good? No? All right. We're doing the literal opposite of being able to do that. We're unloading the spine. It's externally stabilized multifidus, intertransverse area, the erectors to a certain extent. These are all autonomic. They're all controlled by part of the nervous system you can't control. Why? Because we don't like to be paralyzed. We like our spine bones to be in relative position to one another at all times because our spinal cord's right down the middle. We don't want to be paralyzed and start shitting ourselves randomly, right? No. We got that to look forward to, right? That's going to be old age. So I just think being able to breathe is going to, if you're getting your spine into extension, like if you take a breath in right now, take the deepest breath in you can, 10-second inhalation. Look how much thoracic extension you started going through. Right, and the issue people have all day is they're in that tonic flex position. Wow, thanks, thanks, bro. Appreciate that.
These people can listen to you eat. They can listen to me breathe.
Fuck. I hope someone gives you shit for that.
Yeah,
but I just think so. I think breathing is a huge part for that PM stretching session.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that because that's kind of what I was getting at, and that's the nervous system regulation within the stretching. If you get into, let's say, one of my favorites is the seated internal rotation stretch.
Yep.
Okay, so you're sitting down, your butt, we'll say left leg is straight out in front of you, and you're going to pull your right leg in so that your heel's by your butt or as close as you can get it. All right, if you sit there and you kind of hunch over, just whatever, you're scrolling the internet, you're not really doing yourself any service by doing that. You're getting in an uncomfortable position, you're hanging out there for a little bit. But if you get in that position and you put your hands out in front of you, try and get them on the ground or hold on to something, so you can feel a difference of body position. Take a deep breath in. Like you said, 10-second inhale, hold it for maybe 5 seconds, 10-second exhale, hold it out for 5 seconds. Every time that you breathe in, that stretch is going to get more intense. You're going to hold it for 5 seconds. That's going to be the intensification of what you're feeling. As you let it out, that intensity will decrease. And now what's happening is you're sinking into the stretch into a deeper position than you were previous to that first inhale. And then when you start that next inhale, it's going to be that same process. And then as you exhale and you let that out, you're going to sink even deeper and deeper.
And all that is the sympathetic. It's
exactly. That's your nervous system just letting go, saying it's okay to be here. And you're getting that little intensification, and then you're sinking in. And you're doing that process over and over. And it's, what is it? Something in flows?
Ebbs
and flows. There's your ebbs and flows of stretching. And then, if you can do that for 5-10 breaths, which is, don't even look at the clock because it's more time than you would have spent in that stretch anyways. But there's going to be a significant difference in, first off, body positions, how much range of motion you have in that position. And second off, how it feels to be in that position by the time you're done. So that's if you're really getting the most out of your stretching That's how to do it.
Well, I think let's close this off now with like maybe PM habits, because I think movement strategies, we're going to air quote that, but because we've talked a lot about sympathetic nervous system. Now, what do you do to prepare to go to sleep? Because I think the movement's good because we're trying to have a physical and maybe psychological, maybe not psychological, and maybe it is all physiological even with the down regulation of the nervous system. But what do you do in conjunction with that? Supplementation. Are you reading? Are you wearing fucking blue light glasses? Like, what's the go?
Yeah, I think regulating yourself and the environment that you're in a way that favors you getting restful sleep is going to be the best thing.
Okay, now how do you? Don't be an asshole. All right,
I'll give some
fucking
here.
yogurt. And no, not even that. Don't be some fucking yogurt and berry pre-workout guy. Be a guy who's in $100,000 in debt, who has work on top of work.
I'm doing
be
great.
Yourself.
I'm doing awesome.
Yeah, but so here's the thing. There's optimization versus adaptation is a conversation I want to have right now, because this is where you're like, no screen time for like 3 hours. It's like I fall asleep at my desk with my head on my laptop. I've sent emails before that were just the backslash to people because it was my fucking forehead just going, boom, I'm out. Yep. So this is where I really have a problem with this whole space is like, cool, you've made it. Good for you. Your book is in airports everywhere with profanity on the cover. Fuck yeah, man. Awesome. I'm glad you're doing well. Your advice does fuck all for me as an entrepreneur, self-employed person who has to send fucking emails to midnight. How do you adapt to the environment that we're currently in? Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Me and you are going to fucking play chess by candlelight wearing blue light fucking blockers once we've made it. Until which time, how do you go about kind of managing being an adult?
So we'll start broad spectrum, and then we'll take it down to more specific things.
Bring it.
Broad spectrum is if you give a fuck, make sure people know that you give a fuck. So if you're the kind of person that you want to get, I don't know, a 500-pound back squat. That's something I want to do. I'm not going out Friday, Saturday night, drinking with the buddies, doing all this stuff. That 500-pound back squat isn't a Monday through Friday thing. It's every single night, every single day. It's something that I'm striving towards. So if you give a fuck, let the people around you know that you give a fuck and that these are your values, and it's important for you to get 9-10 hours sleep a night. And if they're interrupting that, they're not aligning with your goals, so fuck you. It's as simple.
That's why he doesn't text me back after 8.
And I'll get to that in a minute. So
Thanks,
no, it's a real fucking thing.
Yeah.
But that's something that's pretty true to me. Is that if you know my goals and you know my intentions, and it's on me to convey that to people, to say, listen, like, I'm not going to text you back after 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. I don't, or if I don't know, just whatever it is. Yeah. Just it's on me to convey that to people so they know that. But if you're not conveying that to people and you're kind of giving in, being like, well, yeah, all right, I'll have one beer. All right, I'll have another, whatever. Then you're weak. So there's that. So if you give a fuck, make sure people know that you give a fuck. And then with that, do the things that align with your goal. So it's funny. I put up a post about whatever, getting better at snatching on Instagram. And then Clem, our fourth, posted how she was working hard to get better at snatch, like doing certain drills all the time. And then I just commented back, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And it's 100% true. If you're not moving towards your goal, you're moving away. So even if you're staying static, you're getting older, you're dying, you're moving away. So there's no such thing as staying put.
Can't wait for your self-help book to release.
Yeah.
People start jumping off a fucking building.
You
do
suck.
It. Jump. Do it is going to be the cover.
No,
you won't.
It'll be stop sucking so much,
yeah.
or try to suck less, because everyone sucks at everything. But
optimism. That's what we're all about.
I'm just
but
kidding.
No, like, so how do you?
I'm just kidding.
I
So
want to get into the weeds. Like, how do you balance? Like, I get 500-pound back squat. Cool. You also, maybe don't want to eat ramen noodles out of a fucking plastic bag,
right? And
you need to actually earn an income. How do you balance both and not be an asshole?
Yeah, it's only two.
So you are going to be an asshole.
And I'll be an asshole.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Like, do you have a cutoff time for your computer?
Yeah. So last night I was here working till 9 o'clock. I didn't get home till about 9:15. I missed a meal. I worked straight from like 4:30 until about 9 o'clock. Didn't have dinner. Francis was good enough to get me a double meat Chipotle burrito on the way home, so that was my dinner last night.
Good enough. It'll do.
Yeah.
Triple meat next time. Get it right, Fran. I'm just saying. Come on, lock it up.
No, but still.
Yeah.
So it's good to have people around you to support you, definitely. But I scarfed that down, brushed my teeth, and went to bed.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing in between. My normal nighttime rituals is lights off, phone off by 9 o'clock. Phone's down on the charger. I'm not looking at it till the morning. Yeah.
Good on you, man.
And it took me a while to realize and kind of be stern enough with myself that I needed to do that, because there was a while where I was like answering emails and texts and all this all hours of the night. If I got a text or an email at 1 in the morning, I'm answering it right away. It's like
I've gone into the office at 1:30 in the morning.
oh, man.
I don't like eating noodles out of bags. That was my main driver. It's like I like hot food on a plate. So I will absolutely come in. But
I get that.
But it's a sacrifice, though, right? And it's something that, in time, like by this time next year, you're not going to be working fucking 9 o'clock. That I can guarantee you, right? You're going to be sitting down, and maybe we'll start playing chess at 9 o'clock,
That'd
right?
be nice.
And then 2 years after that, we'll be the asshole guys doing fucking qigong in the parking lot at 5 o'clock, and then we're going to shut it down for 12 hours.
There it is.
But I think that's the progression is to always, or the goal is to always try and make yourself, again, see the adaptation and optimization scale. And it's just like anything, like getting advice from people who are where you want to be about what they do where they are, not what they did when they're in your situation, is the worst fucking thing ever. Mm-hmm. Like people, like successful chiropractors tell me like, oh no, like you shouldn't do this, like I do it this way, and it's like, yeah, but like, dude, you were fleecing insurance companies for like 20 fucking years, and you drive a Lexus with no debt, and you have a giant house that you bought for $200,000 20 years ago that's worth like $5 million. I can't use anything you're giving me right now. And it's the same thing with these, the people that give advice on habits and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's what you do now. Cool. I can't wake up and journal like an asshole for an hour. I was up at 4:45 this morning, and I was in the gym by 5 a.m. Why? Because we're going to podcast for 3 hours. I have to get some other shit done. I have to go do some other shit and do some more shit. And then next thing you know, it's 10 o'clock and I got to go to bed.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, in a perfect world, sure. Would I like to get up and, doodle some cats on some paper for a bit and have my coffee, do a fucking movement ritual and swing a club or some bullshit in my backyard? Yeah, fuck, it'd be cool to have a backyard even. But like right now in a studio apartment in the Silicon Valley, I got to make shit happen. And if it's, if it's taking 5 minutes in my car to listen to nothing and just be silent and then go through this introspection, sure, that's my journaling or whatever. But I think so many people just get behind these, I fucking hate the word, thought leaders. Like, give me a fucking break. You're not the Dalai Lama.
Is that like
a
influencer?
jackass with a podcast?
Is that the more spiritual version of an influencer?
Yeah, spiritual, narcissistic. Like, influencers are just kind of like, so YouTube is more entertainment. Maybe this is a good way to draw it. YouTube is more the influencer space. Podcaster is more the thought leader space. So podcasting is more educational based because, there's not flash and flare. Unless you don't got toes in your podcast, you really can't. Boom. That's the thumbnail right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's disgusting. I'm going to watch the subscribership go down and then really go up for a little bit, which will be concerning.
It's going to be weird.
But I think these, like, thought leaders, they go on and on about, like, this. I fucking did a podcast. It was a cool podcast. She's Christina Rice, but she was like pouring fucking mushroom coffee. I was like, okay, that's like having a tuna fish cereal. It's like it's either cereal or it's tuna fish. Coffee's a thing and fucking mushrooms are a thing. You can't. I've never seen a mushroom bean before. Like you can't.
Did you drink the mushroom coffee?
Fuck no. Are you serious? I had it.
God. That's like
straight
grounds
black.
to fight someone. If you try to give me mushroom coffee instead of real coffee.
Well, it's like, like it's like enhances like cognition. Like try like not read a book. You want to enhance cognition? Try read a book. That's like, my shake weight makes me stronger. It's like if your intervention before was nothing and now your intervention is a fucking shake weight. Yeah, it's something. It's the dumbest thing, but it's something where it's like cognitively mushroom coffee is the shake weight of morning beverages. That's fucking meme it. Do it. I dare you. But it's the same thing. Like cognitively, if that is, you're using promo code at checkout and you're drinking fucking mushroom coffee to improve your daily ritual because some fucking thought leader, provoker, influencer person told you to because he's got a fat deal with the company and he gets a kickback on every sale, then yeah, if that's the only thing you're doing, you're going to see a benefit, and all sun shines out of the ass of some guy who's fucking, he records 4 podcasts a week and that's how he makes a living. Again, not shit talking him entirely because I'm shit talking him a little bit, but at the same time, it's on the people to find out what works at their stage of adaptation to optimization. His life, optimal as fuck, AF. Your life as someone coming out of school or in school, adapt, survive till tomorrow, and then try and survive till the next day. That's the goal.
Yep.
So I think when it comes to these things, you can't just be all in the trend pool when it comes to this stuff. You got to get stuff done. You got to understand how to parameterize your efforts, right? Like understanding what's going to maximize output with the little input you put in, right?
Yeah.
Stretching in the shower. Cool. Awesome. Works for you. Wicked. I'd fall over and fucking break my neck. Good on you. You're not going to see me doing that in the shower. But there are times throughout the day where I can identify the same intent of what you're doing and what I'm doing. Right. So I think just, again, maybe having something to look back on, like a journal, or even something like lifting, recording your shit, checking yourself. I think that's where a lot of this stuff starts, is with an assessment. An assessment, so when you do implement something, whether that's an assessment of movement, whether that's an assessment of social interactions or productivity, you have a baseline to measure back on. And so you can apply an intervention and you can assess. It's the scientific model of getting shit done. So whatever works, sure. If you find your mushroom dirt coffee helps you, whatever, fine. If it's against a baseline standard that you've established, you put it in as intervention, you retest against that baseline and there's improvement, fuck yeah, fill your boots.
Yep. I think the main thing with it is form your rituals or your habits around your goals. If it's something that's going to get you closer to that goal, go ahead, do it. If it's something that doesn't work, get rid of it.
Yeah. Life's too short to do dumb things arbitrarily that don't work.
And assess how much fucks you give. You give a lot of fucks, act like it. If you don't, cool. Don't act like you do.
Yeah, that's
that's the thing.
Get Kyle Lundy to do your post-production stuff.
He'll make it sound great.
Get Mark Masiri to sit here, and it's like having just it's like putting stuff into a machine and it just gets done way better than you could do it. It's like, God, it's incredible. So shout out Lunderjack Productions. If you haven't checked him out, check him out at Instagram. I think it's Lunderjack Music on Instagram and Lunderjack Productions on Facebook, and his URL is lunderjackproductions.com.
Cool.
So special thanks to Kyle. Ratings, reviews, iTunes, Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, please no feet comments. If you have questions for episodes, you can leave it on the YouTube comment section, and we'll get back to you there. If not, we'll see you on the Instagram, and we'll see you next week.
All right.